a dramatic day in and outside the courtroom in the first day of the trial against Marine veteran Daniel Penny. You never before seen police body camera video was played in court as first responders attended to 30-year-old Jordan Neely. Now, this happened back in 2023. Moments before that, cell phone video captured Penny putting Neely in a deadly chokehold on a New York City subway. This video is still so hard to watch. Here with me is trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris. Misty, good morning. This trial has really captured the attention of the entire country. Let's talk about the prosecution playing that new body cam video of Penny saying, quote, "I just put him out," end quote, next to Neely's motionless body. I have to ask you, Misty, with your experience, how rare is it to have video evidence like that, and what could it mean to the jury?
So this is actually very important for the prosecutor's case, and the body cam footage is going to show the immediate aftermath and actually depicts what was happening with Jordan Neely once they arrived on the scene. So the video matters for a couple of different reasons. From the prosecution's perspective, that statement, "I put him out," that's all a part of the prosecution's narrative that Daniel Penny, maybe the initial restraint of Jordan Neely to step in at that moment was justified, but that he went too far. He held him down for 5 minutes and 53 seconds. They have to show, in order to be successful, that he had a reckless disregard for human life. In order to do so, he has to be aware of a risk to Neely's life and basically ignore it. That's where his experience as a Marine and a martial artist come in. So that statement, "I put him out," is critical because it shows what his intent was to do. Even if he didn't intend to kill him, he did intend to restrain him to the point of being unconscious. And that's going to be the prosecutor's argument. From the defense perspective, the response of the police and that Jordan Neely was still alive at that time is going to serve as what's called a causation defense. Did something else cause his death other than the chokehold? So the video is really critical for both sides of the case.
And going back to the defense, they're painting Neely as erratic, threatening. They're saying their client heard him say, "I will kill." So with all that in mind, if Penny was your client, is this how you would frame his defense, Misty?
Right. So the defense is self-defense. In order to establish that, there has to be an imminent threat and the response has to be reasonable and proportionate to that threat. So here what Daniel Penny is arguing is that he had to restrain Neely because of the safety of himself and others on the train. Again, prosecutors are saying that initial restraint isn't the issue. It's why hold him down for so long, even past consciousness. Well, the defense is saying that Neely was actually on a drug called K2, which is a cannabinoid, and that his behavior was erratic. So Penny wouldn't know whether or not he had a weapon on him, would not know whether or not he was able to get back up and potentially create that threat. So basically, from the defense perspective, you have to put the jury in Daniel Penny's shoes on that day from his perspective, and then make that determination about whether or not the act, not just of the initial restraint, but holding him down for that period of time is reasonable. It all feeds into that self-defense argument.
The jury in this case doesn't have to find that Penny intended to kill Neely. You mentioned that. The judges also ordered the jury to block out the noise, the literal noise from protesters that could reportedly be heard 13 floors down from the courthouse. How could these outside protests and, of course, the media coverage impact the jury's deliberations?
I mean, easier said than done to block out that noise. I know I've been in that courthouse many times, and you can hear street level noise even on the higher floors of the courthouse. So the judge made what's called a curative instruction, telling the jury to basically ignore it. But that's always going to be something the defense may raise if there were a conviction and if there were ultimately an appeal. Basically, that the jury was being unduly influenced by those protesters while they're physically sitting in the courtroom. And the argument is twofold, Hannah. So first, it's because the protesters, maybe they're influencing the way the jury might see or frame the evidence. However, the other argument, which may carry more weight, is that the jury would feel intimidated to come to any other conclusion but guilty. So it's certainly something that the defense attorneys will preserve for the appeal, saying the judge didn't go far enough to move to a different courtroom when you could still hear those protesters. As far as media, that really should not impact the jury. They're told not to consume any media, but of course, it's difficult not to see anything that's relating to the case. The jury will be instructed to base their decision on that evidence in the courtroom.
Yeah, especially here in New York City, where so many of us have been following this case. Misty Marris, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.